Good evening and welcome. Tonight, scores of students missing after an attack at Science Secondary School, Katsina State, yesterday night. 4 people killed in Benue State following an attack by gunmen suspected to be herders on Agbande community in Makurdi local government area. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu confirmed COVID-19 positive and undergoes treatment following exposure to a confirmed case of the virus as Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State goes into self-isolation. And U.S. COVID-19 vaccinations to kick off on Monday after the Pfizer-BioNTech coronavirus vaccine was authorized for emergency use. Plus, business and sports.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's economy expected to improve in December in latest business survey report released by the central bank.
Anguish and pain as scores of students are said to be missing following yesterday night's attack by bandits on the government science secondary school Kankara in Katsina State. Before the attack, the number of students in the school stood at 854, and the State Police Command has confirmed that 200 of the school children who fled for safety during the attack have been safely returned. Meanwhile, Governor Aminu Masari has ordered the immediate closure of all boarding secondary schools in the state. The governor gave the order when he visited Kankara, where he met with the school officials, some parents, traditional and religious leaders, as well as security officials.
Wannan abu ya wuce duk yadda mutum yake tunani na bakin ciki da damuwa a wurinmu. Kuma ina tabbatarwa iyayen yara cewa ba mu iya cewa mun yi su damuwa. Amma su tabbatar da cewa damuwarmu tana tare da su tunda mun san cewa haƙƙi da nauyi yana wuyanmu na tabbatar da cewa an kare rayuwarsu da lafiyarsu. Kuma kamar mitin da muka yi da sojoji yanzu suna can suna faɗa da mutanen nan. In Allah da za mu iyaka ƙoƙarinmu duk yaran nan sai an anso su. Don Allah don annabi mutane a ƙara haƙuri. A ƙara addu'a, wato zage-zage da ɓace-ɓace a halin da ake ciki ba zai biya bukata ba.
Meanwhile, the president has been reacting to the bandit attacks on the government science secondary school Kankara in Katsina State. In a statement, President Muhammadu Buhari asked the school authorities to carry out an audit of the population of the students following the shootings in and around the school that sent hundreds of them fleeing. In the words of the president, I strongly condemn the cowardly bandit attack on innocent children at the science school Kankara. Prayers are with the families of the students, the school authorities, and the injured. The president said this while pledging to continue to support the police and military struggle against terrorists and bandits. He also advised parents who rushed to the school and took their children and wards away to notify the school and police authorities in order to have a full account of the school population. President Buhari further directed men of the Nigerian Army and the Nigerian Police Force to go after the attackers and ensure that no student gets missing or harmed. And the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has ordered the deployment of additional operational and investigative assets to support the ongoing search and rescue operations in Katsina State. The deployment, which includes personnel from the police tactical squads and crack detectives from the Force Intelligence Bureau, will provide investigative support to the Katsina State Police Command. They also are to work in collaboration with the military and other security agents in concerted efforts aimed at rescuing the students, hunting down the perpetrators, and bringing them to book. The police boss has in addition ordered the immediate review and strengthening of security arrangements around the educational institutions in the country. Staying with the Katsina attack, the People's Democratic Party has criticized President Buhari over the kidnap of the school children in Katsina State, saying that the president has failed in his primary responsibility. Now, the PDP National Publicity Secretary spoke to journalists in Abuja and said that the president should lead from the front in the rescue of the abducted students. According to the PDP, the security situation has deteriorated to the current state if President Buhari had listened to the calls for the sack of the service chiefs. Elsewhere, a lawmaker representing Ngoroje constituency in the Taraba State House of Assembly has regained his freedom following his abduction earlier this week. Bashir Mohammed, the minority leader and chairman House Assembly Committee on Information, was kidnapped on Wednesday, December the 9th, 2020. The police public relations officer, David Misal, says the lawmaker was set free in the late hours of Friday and is receiving medical attention. Meanwhile, 4 people are reported to have been killed by gunmen in Angbandi community in Makurdi local government area of Benue State, with 7 other people injured. Residents say the incident is a repeat attack on the community. Governor Samuel Otom has visited the community. He says the briefing he got from a team of security personnel was that the attack, which took place around 11 a.m. on Friday, was carried out by herdsmen.
They came, they pretended to be shooting in an adjoining village around here, and much later it was meant to divert attention. And when the security agencies rushed there, they now came back and killed 4 people here. The house head here was killed with his brother and his son and 1 other person. And 7 people are in the hospital. Let me say that this will not be allowed. These are poor people struggling to live their lives with what they aim from the farm. And now these Fulani herdsmen will not allow them to have even what to eat. And that is why we'll continue to say that there is need for dialogue with the federal government to see what can be done. Maybe there will be ideas that are not known to the federal government to see how this matter can be resolved. Nigeria must dialogue, because it's not just happening here. At our own level here, we'll meet with the security agencies as a government and see how we can strategize to handle this kind of guerrilla attack that is going on against our people. This cannot be allowed.
Away from security matters, the Minister of Health says Nigeria is on course to achieving the year 2030 target for universal health coverage. Dr. Sage Anire's optimism comes as the World Health Organization is asking the Nigerian government to prioritize funding and strengthening of the country's healthcare services. The WHO country representative, Mr. Walter Mulumbo, made the call at a news conference to mark the 2020 Universal Health Coverage Day in Abuja.
December the 12th every year is set aside by the World Health Organization to raise awareness on the need for countries to work towards achieving universal health coverage for all.
That was Dr. Osagi.
At this news conference to mark the day in Abuja, both the Minister of Health and the country representative of the World Health Organization emphasized the need to strengthen the sector and reduce out-of-pocket spending for health services.
We need to work together to ensure that as we are strengthening primary health care, we are also strengthening global health security. Strengthening health system will prepare our facilities to respond to outbreak. But also by strengthening health security and emergency preparedness, we will make sure that when outbreak hits, our health facilities, our health system is not overwhelmed.
Commemorating the 2020 UHC Day re-emphasizes the importance of ensuring that no one is left behind as we expand our healthcare services towards universal coverage.
Available statistics show that an estimated 60 to 75% of Nigerians pay for health services at the point of delivery. and only about 20,000 enrollees are registered with the National Health Insurance Scheme. This figure excludes dependents who benefit from the scheme as well as other enrollees and private health maintenance organizations.
The government of Nigeria has continued.
Despite the poor statistics of enrollees, the Minister of Health believes Nigeria is on course to achieving universal health coverage.
While out-of-pocket expenditure is still quite high, other indicators that capture government expenditure and health also show that there is ample room for improvement as we edge closer to UHC.
In another event to mark the day, the FCT Health Insurance Scheme embarks on a road walk to sensitize citizens about the need to have health insurance covered. The agency believes that having a legislation that compels all to have health insurance is the way to go.
The review law for the National Health Insurance Scheme is almost at the final stage, and it's clearly stated there that health insurance becomes mandatory for all Nigerians. So there will be no excuse for anybody not to be on insurance scheme. In fact, there will be an enforcement mechanism.
Nigeria loses over 700,000 under 5 children each year. A majority of these deaths are either because they lack access to health care or parents are unable to pay for the cost of treatment. A trend that health officials say universal health coverage will reverse.
To the attack in Katsina State that left scores of children missing, the People's Democratic Party has been reacting to the incident, and they have criticized the President Muhammadu Buhari over the kidnap of the school children in Katsina State, saying that the president failed in his primary responsibility.
The People's Democratic Party condemns the gruesome attack on Government Science Secondary School, Kankara, Katsina State, by suspected terrorists, leading to reported deaths and abduction of no fewer than 600 students. The PDP, standing with the entire Katsina people, charges President Muhammadu Buhari as the commander-in-chief who promised to lead from the front to account for the abducted students. This development has further exposed the failure of President Muhammadu Buhari to manage high-level security intelligence that ought to accompany a presidential visit. The time of the attack buttresses the fact that President Buhari, as the commander-in-chief, is totally incapable of securing our nation. The very reason there have been widespread calls by patriotic Nigerians that he should resign from office. Our party, the People's Democratic Party, also believes that if President Buhari had listened to wise counsel as proffered by the People's Democratic Party and other patriotic Nigerians, including the 2 chambers of the National Assembly, that he should rejig the nation's security architecture, our nation would not have deteriorated to this sorry state.
In part 2, after the break, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu undergoes COVID-19 treatment, having been confirmed of contracting the virus, and the Lagos State Judicial Panel adjourns today's cases till January after those expected to appear before the panel, including Army representatives, failed to show up. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Scores of students missing after an attack on Government Science Secondary School, Kankara, Katsina State by bandits yesterday night. 4 people killed in Benue State following an attack by gunmen suspected to be herders on Angbande community in Makurdi local government area. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu confirmed COVID-19 positive, undergoes treatment following exposure to a confirmed case of the virus, as Governor El-Rufai of Kaduna State goes into self-isolation. And U.S. COVID-19 vaccinations to kick off on Monday after the Pfizer-BioNTech coronavirus vaccine was authorized for emergency use. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is undergoing treatment after being confirmed positive for COVID-19. In a statement, the State Commissioner for Health, Professor Abayomi, explained that following the governor's exposure to a confirmed case of COVID-19, a PCR test was performed, which confirmed that he has indeed been infected with the virus, but with mild symptoms. He said the governor is being closely monitored at home by the state COVID-19 clinical team from Infectious Disease Hospital, Yaba. Professor Abayomi is confident that the governor will recover quickly and clear the virus. He asked residents of the city to be observant and responsible in their interactions as the Christmas celebrations approach. Meanwhile, Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna has gone into self-isolation for the second time this year after some of his close aides and family members tested positive for COVID-19. The governor, who announced the development in a short video, explained that he decided to isolate himself as a precautionary move that complies with the standard COVID-19 protocols. He will undergo testing on Sunday and has appealed to residents of Kaduna to adhere to all the COVID-19 safety protocols.
My dear people of Kaduna State, I have today been notified of more positive COVID-19 results of people close to me, including an immediate family member and senior officials of the Kaduna State government. I'm therefore in self-isolation and hope to be tested by Sunday. This is purely a precautionary move that complies with the standard COVID-19 protocols. I appeal to every resident of Kaduna State to observe and abide by the preventive protocols against COVID-19, such as washing hands, observing physical distancing, wear your masks all the time you're going out, and avoid gatherings of more than 6 people, particularly during this festive season. I wish you well. I will report back to you on the outcome of the test that I hope will take place on Sunday.
Meanwhile, the coordinator of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Dr. Sanya Liu, says the federal government is doing all it can to prepare the country ahead of the introduction of the COVID-19 vaccines. In view of that, he is emphasizing the need for heightened sense of awareness that the COVID-19 virus is still very much around. Dr. Liu was speaking during a visit to Owerri, the Imo State capital, where he promised that the federal government will establish a PCR laboratory for COVID-19 in the state to enhance the state's scaling up its testing.
The COVID pandemic affects every part of the country. We are really interested in making sure that the state governments continue to do what they are supposed to do to protect the health of their citizens as far as COVID is concerned. We came here to visit the state to see His Excellency Governor Hope Uzodinma, thank him and appreciate him for the support he has provided thus for the response, but also to push him to do even more in terms of testing, in terms of making sure that there are enough treatment facilities in the states for patients with COVID, and also to continue to educate the public on the importance of complying with non-pharmaceutical interventions, such as wearing the face mask, because we know that COVID is not going to go away simply with the vaccines. You need more than just the vaccination. You also need a combination of measures, such as hand washing, such as use of sanitizers, such as face masks, etc. It has to be a combination of measures. So while the federal government is doing all that it can to prepare the country for introduction of a COVID vaccine, as we can see is happening outside the country, but at the same time we also need to have a heightened sense of awareness that COVID has not gone away.
The Lagos State Judicial Panel on the restitution of victims of SARS brutality and other matters today adjourned the cases listed for hearing for the day till January, after some of those expected to appear before the panel did not show up. The Army representative summoned to the proceeding was unavailable after participants at the Chief of Army Staff Annual Conference were asked to proceed on self-isolation following the death of a Major General from COVID-19. His appearance was one of two listed for today.
Proceedings before this panel today has the investigation of the Lekki incident of 20th October 2020 on its cost list with particular reference to the Nigerian Army. The summons issued and served has not brought Major General Godwin Omelu to appear before the panel. There is some issue with service on Lieutenant Colonel Bello. Learned Senior Counsel for the Lagos State Government has submitted that an adjournment be allowed on grounds of an outbreak of COVID-19 in the military command. There is the application that the Colonel be served through their counsel, Mr. Akelolu Kende, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Mr. Adeshina Ogunlano aligns himself with Mr. Ogunsoya of counsel that service be made through their counsel. In the light of those submissions, it is hereby ordered that service on Lieutenant Colonel Bello shall be effected through their counsel on record. A fresh summons shall issue to Major General Omelu on or before the next adjourned date, which is the 8th day of January 2021, where the matter will come up for further hearing.
Meanwhile, the cable news network CNN has objected to the summons by a Lagos Judicial Panel of Inquiry and Restitution of Victims of SARS-related abuse to its team of reporters to give evidence before it at today's sitting on their reportage of the Lekki shooting. The summons were issued on November the 28th, 2020, and upon service, the international news outfit instructed their lawyers, Messrs. Olumide Babalola, to file an objection on the ground that the panel lacks jurisdiction to summon them since they are not in Nigeria. From the objection dated 4th December 2020, but filed on December 9th, 2020, at the tribunal on behalf of CNN, the legal team placed it on record that they were not at all material times and still not at the time of filing this objection within the geographical territory of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They do not have any physical or business presence in Nigeria, and by extension, they are outside the territorial jurisdiction of the Honorable Tribunal, and it's not mandatory for them to attend. When the panel sat on Saturday, December 12, 2020, they invited CNN's lawyer into the private hearing room where he reiterated his objection, and the panel informed him that they would record the objection in their final report, hence CNN was excused from further proceedings or appearing before the panel. Another award has been added to the many honors that the chairman of Channels Media Group, Mr. John Momo, has garnered. This time, it's the Lifetime Achievement Award at the 29th edition of the Diamond Award for Media Excellence in Lagos. The award was received on his behalf by the Assistant General Manager Operations, Mr. Kingsley Uranta, accompanied by the Controller Programs, Mr. Ambrose Oko, and the Head of Human Resources, Mr. Folusho Oluwafemi.
This is no doubt an incredible moment of my life. How thrilled I am to be receiving this award tonight. From the look of things, the Nobel Peace Prize may not be far away. I'm extremely grateful and honored by this thoughtful recognition, and I thank all members of the DEM trustees, particularly the panel of judges, for selecting me for this singular and very much appreciated award.
Congratulations to the chairman of Channels Media Group for this Lifetime Achievements Award. Now, no society can function without good leadership, as it's the bedrock for transformation and development. That's according to a former Minister of Information, Professor Jerry Ghana, who is challenging Nigerians to insist on good leadership. He stated this at the Nigerian Prize for Leadership in Abuja. The president of the Africa Development Bank, Dr. Akiwumi Adesina, who joined the event virtually, called for new leadership of a new Nigeria that will build on the success of the nation's past heroes. Our correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
For many Nigerians, the slow pace of development in the country can be attributed to leadership over the years. According to John Maxwell, an American author, everything rises and falls on leadership. This gathering seeks to highlight the importance of grooming leaders for the future.
The time to insist on good, effective leadership, leadership with wisdom, leadership with values, leadership with the kind of qualities that move things forward. The time for that kind of leadership is now, and part of what the Nigerian Prize for Leadership is doing is to insist that the nation settles for a culture of excellence in leadership.
Have we unwittingly imbibed and projected a culture of corruption as a model of leadership? Do mere construction of roads, sinking of boreholes, provision of electricity, availability of healthcare facilities constitute all it takes to provide leadership in the public space?
For the president of the African Development Bank, the labors of the country's past heroes should be built upon.
We have several heroes and leaders past. While we'll continue to pray and trust that their labors will not be in vain, we also need new leadership for a new Nigeria. The Nigeria we hope for and dream about. The Nigeria that our heroes long past will look down upon and finally say, it came to pass.
Mr. Adesina also believes that a good leader must pay attention to criticism.
Simply assess the facts. Take what's helpful from the criticism, reflect and adjust your perspective if needed, and then move on, but never get distracted from your vision.
Leadership experts believe that in relation to development of any nation, a new leadership pipeline must be built, as it cannot happen by wishful thinking. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, Nigeria's economy expected to improve in December in latest business survey report released by the central bank. That's on business. People who were traveling from Gagarawa local government in Jigawa to Kano state have died in a motor accident on Ringim-Kano Road. The police in Jigawa say 2 others were injured in that accident and are receiving treatment at the Ringim General Hospital. The victims were said to be traveling for the Nigerian Navy recruitment examination in Kano when the accident occurred. According to the police, it involved a trailer and a Volkswagen car carrying 3 to 12 passengers. Both cars. The Volkswagen Golf was said to have rammed into the stationary truck parked by the road. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of an interim administrator to oversee the affairs of the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC. According to a statement by the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, the acting executive director, Finance and Administration is to assume the headship of the commission pending the completion of the forensic audit. It adds that the development became necessary as a result of the plethora of litigation and the restraining order issued against the IMC of the NDDC by a federal high court in Abuja. The Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria has been mourning the loss of one of its members, the chairman and publisher of Leadership newspaper, Sam Nda-Isaiah, who died in Abuja on Friday night after a brief illness. The association describes the loss as devastating because he was not only a colleague but a friend to all in the industry. Also mourning the death of the late publisher, President Muhammadu Buhari condoled with the media fraternity and the Nda-Isaiah family over the loss of a man he describes as a friend and ally. The Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, says the late Sam Nda-Isaiah fervently believed in the Nigerian project, which was reflected in his writings and the editorial focus and tone of his Leadership newspaper. For the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, the media industry has lost one of its committed pillars. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, believes he was a patriotic, detribalized Nigerian, while the Governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, praised God to grant him eternal rest and the family fortitude to bear the unfortunate loss. In his tribute, the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, says the country has lost a rare man of big ideas whose politics was laced with conviction and without bitterness. The late Nda-Isaiah, a renowned columnist and one-time presidential aspirant on the platforms of the APC, died at the age of 58. Before he started leadership newspaper, he maintained a column, Last Word, which he wrote as an editorial board member of Daily Trust. It was a must-read for many. He wasn't always a journalist. The late Nda-Isaiah trained as a pharmacist and was also known as a serial entrepreneur, visionary, and passionate politician. Technology has no doubt changed the way humans live, especially in recent times, and more disruption is expected in the future. One of the ways this is happening is through the advent of artificial intelligence. But rather than fear the adoption of AI, tech industry experts are advocating building of skill sets to match that of the Industrial Revolution era, while they also believe that the country will be better off with the full implementation of artificial intelligence. Our technology correspondent, Victor Matthias, reports.
The world has over the years witnessed industrial revolutions that has shaped it from a society of archaicism to that of civilization and industrialization. The first industrial revolution used water and steam power to mechanize production. The second, electric power to create mass production. The third fused technologies to blur lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. Now the fourth is building on the third, driven by artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data.
For the most part of the 60s and 70s and the 80s. And with the explosion of data, coupled with the availability of cloud technology empowered by 4G and now 5G technology, and the increasing ability of computers to crunch this data faster, is what is making artificial intelligence to come to life.
However, fears that machines will replace humans continue to be on the rise.
Automation can take away many jobs, but there are several other jobs of computer programmers, robotic assemblers, and all those kind of roles, mechatronics engineers, machine learning engineers, data scientists, data analysts. These new jobs will be created.
There's a big opportunity in education. There's a big opportunity in logistics. There's a big opportunity in content origination, because people are not going to learn the old ways again. They're going to learn through visuals, through ideas.
Experts say internet must be made a necessity for Nigeria to fully key into the economic benefits that comes with data collection for artificial intelligence machinery.
In Nigeria, we think that power, electricity are very important for the development of Nigeria. Technology should be part of that in key infrastructure. Making sure that internet infrastructure everywhere is one. Making sure that you can bring down the prices of devices to address that part of. So like when people are talking about free school education means that you must give them the tools. And what are the tools of the 21st century, of the fourth industrial revolution? It's a smartphone. It's not even a dumb phone.
It is projected that artificial intelligence could boost global GDP by 1.2% per year by 2030, delivering an additional $13 trillion in economic value. For Nigeria to have a bite of the cherry, the federal government has launched a Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics to boost the application nationwide. Victor Matthias, Channels Television News.
The Kano state government is making changes to its anti-corruption fight by adopting a new strategy to recover and manage the proceeds of corruption. The launch of the state's anti-corruption document and commissioning of the Anti-Corruption Institute, the first in northern Nigeria, are some of the steps being taken to achieve success. The state government says the documents will ensure public engagement, ethical reorientation, as well as sanction of corrupt individuals found guilty. Our correspondent Idris Jibrin reports.
The Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission was primarily established to ensure adequate utilization of public funds and, via extension, receive and attend to complaints from members of the public on issues relating to corruption. Its establishment was born out of the realization that if allowed to fester, corruption may hamper socio-economic development.
In all aspects of the Commission's mandates, which include protections of citizens' rights, both preventive and curative, in fighting corruption and all other areas, ombudsmanship.
The Commission is responsible for training anti-corruption staff while educating members of the public, including the state civil servant, on the dangers of corruption.
As a state institution, we are working side by side with federal anti-corruption agencies, and I can tell you, we are, if I am not blowing my trumpet, we are far ahead of some of our federal agencies, not anti-corruption agencies, so to say, but some of the federal agencies.
And to further ensure transparency and accountability, the state has also unveiled anti-corruption strategy documents to serve as a guide for the control of corruption across ministries, departments and agencies of the state government.
The anti-corruption strategy document produced with the aim of prevention of corruption, public engagement and ethical reorientation, enforcement and sanctions.
The documents are expected to strengthen the State Anti-Corruption Commission in its quest to recover stolen public funds and to ensure effective service delivery in governance across Kano State. Idris Jibrin, Channels Television News.
And now let's bring you business news. Here's Teniola Shabwale.
Thanks a lot, Olumide. Welcome to Business News. After months of layoffs due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, there is high optimism for the labour market in the coming months. According to the November Business Expectation Survey released by the Central Bank, businesses are hopeful of employing this month and next January next year, as respondents' expectations indicate a favourable outlook with indices of 56.0 and 61.4 each. The CBN's monthly survey shows that the wholesale and retail sector expected to record the highest expansion this month at 50.0 index points, followed by the manufacturing sector with 43.7 index points and a Greek services sector at 39.5 points. Further analysis of the report shows that respondents anticipate an increase in economic conditions within December to the next 6 months, as the index on economic growth rate is gauged at between 17.0 to 46.8 points within the expected period. The ECOWAS Commission's directive for member countries to restrict the importation of passenger vehicles of no more than 5 years and heavy-duty vehicles of no more than 10 years is not going down well with the Association of Motor Dealers of Nigeria. At a news conference in Abuja, the national president of the association, Mr. Ajibola Adedoyin, says the planned implementation of the regulation with effect from January 1st, 2021 will have significant negative socio-economic consequence for Nigerian consumers, considering the current state of the nation's economy.
What we are saying.
The UK Department for International Trade has announced it will host the Africa Investment Conference on January the 20th next year. The conference comes 1 year after the UK Africa Investment Summit hosted in London by Prime Minister Boris Johnson, where 27 trade and investment deals worth £6.5 billion and commitments worth £8.9 billion were announced. The event is expected to bring together UK and African firms for a one-day virtual event to explore opportunities and challenges of investing and doing business in Africa. Participants will also learn more about the United Kingdom's new trade agreements with Africa and support offered to businesses and investors. The chairman of Econet Group, Strive Masiyiwa, says his Africa Data Centers has started construction of a $100 million data center in Nigeria following the acquisition of a 5-acre piece of land in Lagos. The London-based Zimbabwean billionaire, who made this known on his official Facebook account, says that the investment will be the single largest data facility in Africa, which will make it possible for Nigerians to get cheaper cloud services, help create thousands of high-tech jobs, and drive drive investment into the country. NDDC, which began as a single facility in Kenya, is currently Africa's biggest data center company, with facilities and projects which support cloud computing services for big international companies. Is spread across South Africa, Rwanda, Egypt, and Ghana. And that's business news tonight. It's back to you, Olumide, for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Taniola. As the festive season draws closer, many are already preparing for celebration without the usual fanfare and concerts that have over the years created the parlance Dirty December, in reference to the various entertainment activities lined up. Our next report takes a look at how the creative industry is looking to adjust to the new reality that will perhaps make the peak period pass without being able to take advantage. Scenes like these are typical of the holiday season in Lagos, southwest Nigeria. Various end-of-year events, shows and concerts spread around the last month of the year, birthing the catchphrase, Dirty December. December this year is, however, not so dirty, no thanks to the still raging COVID-19 pandemic. The figures are getting high, and entertainers are watching their peak period pass.
You can't put people's lives at risk. And planning a virtual concert also involves getting things right. Because the feeling that people get when they are with you is different from when they are watching you through a TV. So you want to properly plan something that the fans can actually engage with and feel like they're with you even though they're away from you. So
Planning all that and more is critically acclaimed singer Dare. Over the years, he's earned a reputation for putting together standout concerts. Only last year, he brought in one of the most sought-after American artists, the multiple Grammy-winning Cardi B.
They have to come in with their masks, they have to wash their hands, they're going to walk through a COVID-friendly vapor walk-through station, and they're not going to be allowed to loiter and move up and down. You know, once you're seated at your table, you know, that's it all the way to the concert, unless you want to use the bathroom, you know, that's really the only movement, so not the normal socializing.
This time, even though he's planning a smaller event, it's perhaps the hardest he's had to put together. Although the event is planned to have a number of sit-in guests, he is relying on monetizing the online streaming platform to make up for the huge cost of putting the show together. He's hoping this experimental show will pay off and perhaps open up a new income stream for entertainers who are already having a bad year.
Everyone is looking forward to this. You know that there's nothing happening. You know, this is most likely the only thing to look forward to this Christmas. So all the artists are excited. You know, a lot of them haven't been on any stage lately. You know, yes, it's been a rough year. A lot of us haven't made any income. Some have made very little income. So this just adds, and we continue to spread that, you know, continue that story, the story of Nigeria, the story of Africa, the story of how great our culture, you know, is by sharing just a little bit of our pop culture.
Excess liquidity may impact demand pressures.
While the pandemic is hitting hard, the current recession in the country is equally biting us hard, with many families expected to be a bit more prudent in their spending at this time. Another reason many are not expecting December to get so dirty this year. The International Committee of the Red Cross says the first international aid convoy carrying medicine and relief supplies has arrived in Mekelle, the capital of Ethiopia's northern Tigray region. The ICRC says the convoy from the Geneva-based group and the Ethiopian Red Cross Society was sent in coordination with the Ethiopian authorities. The aid trucks managed to enter the region amidst international calls for more transparency into the month-long fighting between Ethiopian forces and those of the Tigray regional government. Thousands of people, including civilians, are thought to have been killed. The U.S. public will start receiving the Pfizer-BioNTech coronavirus vaccine from Monday after it was authorized for emergency use. Officials say the first doses of the vaccine will be shipped across all states this weekend. The vaccine offers up to 95% protection against COVID-19 and was deemed safe by the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, on Friday. Here's more on this and other developments on our Global Update.
Marking a turning point in a country where the coronavirus pandemic has killed more than 295,000 people, U.S. officials say mass vaccination using the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is expected within days.
Make no mistake, distribution has begun. Right now, boxes are being packed and loaded with vaccine with emphasis on quality control. Within the next 24 hours, they will begin moving vaccine from the Pfizer manufacturing facility to the UPS and FedEx hubs. And then it will go out to the 636 locations nationwide. We expect 145 sites across all the states to receive vaccine on Monday, another 425 sites on Tuesday, and the final 66 sites on Wednesday, which will complete the initial delivery of the Pfizer orders for vaccine.
A first round of 2.9 million doses is expected to go to mainly healthcare workers and elderly people in long-term care facilities. The government has ordered 100 million doses of the vaccine, enough to inoculate 50 million people. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine was first approved in Britain earlier this month, and UK residents began receiving the shots on Tuesday. Canada also authorized the vaccine and expects to start inoculations next week. In other developments, South Korea has recorded a new high in the number of coronavirus cases, with 950 infections announced on Saturday. Despite tougher social distancing rules, including curfews on restaurants and most other businesses, South Korea is suffering a third wave of coronavirus outbreaks. President Moon Jae-in says the country is facing an emergency situation and vows to strengthen testing and tracing in response. Over in China, free coronavirus testing and strict isolation measures have begun for residents in Chengdu, capital city of southwest China's Sichuan province, after 10 new confirmed cases. Residents in Pidu district, where the latest case was reported, have undergone district-wide COVID-19 testing to prevent a further outbreak.
UN Secretary General has called on all countries to declare a climate emergency. Antonio Guterres was speaking at a virtual summit on the 5th anniversary of the Paris Climate Agreement. He criticized rich countries for spending 50% more of their pandemic recovery cash on fossil fuel compared to low carbon energy. Mr. Guterres says that 38 countries have already declared a climate emergency, and he calls on leaders worldwide to now do the same. And now we'll bring you sports news. Here's Kayode Alayande.
Thank you, Olumide. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's under-20 men's team Flying Eagles have crashed out of the West African zonal qualifiers holding in Porto Novo, Benin Republic. The Flying Eagles will not be at next year's under-20 AFCON in Mauritania. Their elimination was confirmed after Côte d'Ivoire defeated Ghana 1-0 in Group B's last fixture on Saturday. The Flying Eagles needed Ghana to beat Côte d'Ivoire by 2 unreplied goals to stand a chance of qualifying. Meanwhile, Anwar El Ghazi's 94th minute penalty has seen Aston Villa beat Wolverhampton Wanderers 1-0 in a bad-tempered game where both sides ended with 10 men. Manchester United and Manchester City missed the chance to demonstrate their title credentials with a cagey stalemate in their derby at Old Trafford. Dwight Gale scored the winner on his first appearance of the season as Newcastle returned from a coronavirus enforced absence to heap more misery on struggling West Brom. That will be all on Sports News. Back to you, Olumide.
Thank you, Kayode. And the main news again. Scores of students were today declared missing after an attack on the government science secondary school, Katsina State, by bandits yesterday night. During a visit to the school, Governor Aminu Masari ordered the closure of all boarding secondary schools in the state. Also today, 4 people were killed in Benue State following an attack on Angwande community in Makurdi local government area by gunmen suspected to be herders. And the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, was today confirmed COVID-19 positive and began undergoing treatment following exposure to a confirmed case of the virus. This came as Governor El Rufai of Kaduna State went into self-isolation also following exposure to COVID-19 positive persons. That's it on the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Olumide Macaulay.